Hello, and welcome back to Culture Central. I'm your host, Hugh Kibera, and alongside me today are my fellow specialists, Anna Hendricks and Kyla Jones. Today, we'll be jumping straight into ABC suspending Jimmy Kimmel for his comments regarding how conservatives have reacted to the murder of Charlie Kirk. Kimmel said last Monday that, quote, "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang trying to characterize this kid who killed Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it," unquote. As of this Monday, quote, ABC announced that Jimmy Kimmel Live would return to air this Tuesday after the network, and thoughtful conversations with Kimmel. Anna, now that we've seen the full cycle of this situation, what were your thoughts on his comments?
I feel as though, Jimmy Kimmel Live has been on the air since 2003 and has managed to stay on without any suspensions. To viewers and the audience, I feel like it was a little bit insane that we saw a suspension come for the first time since 2003, regarding these comments.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Kyla?
It definitely has been a big topic of discussion. It has been a public split, but whether or not people support or agree with Jimmy Kimmel or whether they don't. And I think that it definitely has made its way into politics, as most things do, because speaking about Trump, I think it's important that we analyze the facts, that we realize what he has said, and whether or not you agree, and do that rather than just hearsay. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I think a lot of issues with the viewers watching Jimmy Kimmel's show was that they found it to be a little bit insensitive. And sure, if we want to go that route, we can. But we also really can't negate the massive backlash that is being received from MAGA targeting the left Democrats. Shortly after Kirk's death was officially announced, Laura Loomer, a political activist, posted to X saying, "The best way President Trump can reinforce Charlie's legacy is cracking down on the left with the full force of the government. No mercy, jail every single leftist who makes a threat of political violence." And we also can't forget that this is being depicted as an act of war, right? So venture capitalist and Musk ally Sean McGuire said in a post, "We're not supposed to say this, but the truth is we're at war." And also far-right radio host Alex Jones, speaking in a video he posted on X, declared, "We're at war." But it begs the question, are we at war against political violence as a whole? Or are we at war against the supposed leftists/Democrats who are deemed as responsible for this crime? These are all, of course, things to consider when tackling why the Kimmel Show did get booted off in the first place. So going into the disclosure on Kimmel's suspension, so it has grown large enough that even rival late-night hosts, such as Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, and Seth Meyers, have publicly backed Kimmel and questioned the direction things are heading in if this is the approach ABC and the Trump administration are taking. Colbert took to the Late Show and said, quote, "Tonight, we are all Jimmy Kimmel. If ABC thinks this is going to satisfy the regime, they are woefully naive." Kyla, for even Kimmel's rivals to chime in, right, and offer not just their support, but to directly stand with him, what does this say about the overall state of censorship and free speech currently? And do you think their support potentially contributed to the suspension being lifted?
Absolutely. I think so. I think that as a community, as a people, when we come together, we are greater in numbers rather than just one. And so I believe that, that they saw something in Jimmy Kimmel's show, but also in themselves, in their own show, in their own, air and whatever that may be, that it was rightfully or wrongfully taken off air. Right. So I think there is a question of whether or not freedom of speech, what limitations does that have? Whether we can and cannot say something, and what extent. And when the government has its own play and hand into that, of taking away that freedom of speech, which is within our amendment to do so. So. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. What about you, Anna?
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. And I feel like we have to look at it as though Colbert and all the other late night peers that Kimmel has, you create this idea that what happens to one might happen to many. They can start to fear that maybe I shouldn't say certain things in fear of consequences, even though these are all across the board late night shows that are known for saying things, doing things, and depicting different things that are being depicted on other news platforms as well. Jimmy Kimmel is not the only person speaking on the situation. You can log online and you can see it. You can watch other news media and you can see it. So I feel like it creates this sense of fear among others. Like, if it happens to a figure so big as, Jimmy Kimmel, can't it happen to me, or can it happen to a peer of mine? It kind of makes people a little, wants to shy away from what they're saying and kind of monitor a little bit more.
And if you don't mind if I just chime in,
Yeah,
but
of course.
I think it definitely just sets the precedent of censorship and within media. That what Anna said, that once one segment becomes a little muted, then we kind of go down this spiral of
Right.
like, okay, then other shows become taken off air, and then we go down to even news being catered to saying certain words or certain phrases, and that ends up going into our own households of like, what can we say and not say, even in public to our friends? Like, can we actually talk about certain topics, politics or not, or just state our opinion about something without getting criticized for it?
Right. Yeah, and of course, you guys hit really good key points. I really love the whole, if it happens to one, it happens to all. I mean, we did see that with the Colbert Show getting canceled as well, and showing that this is possible and this is going to continue happening. And with the Kimmel Show getting suspended, but also brought back on air, it's showing that support is in numbers, right? Like I was seeing reports of people across the US, across not even the US, but other countries, like going as far as canceling their Disney Plus subscription, boycotting Disney, taking it to social media and talking about it. So support is in numbers. So I think that definitely played into why his show got back on air. And with his show getting reinstated by ABC, airing its return episode just last night, Jimmy actually drew in nearly 6.2 million views, which is actually 4 times its average viewership. Now, an interesting point he made that I really liked in the episode were the comments made by Brendan Carr, who is the FCC chairman, right? So after Kimmel made the comment regarding Charlie Kirk said, let's not forget that it was Brendan Carr who said in a podcast, these companies can find ways to change conduct and take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. Quote, unquote. So in response to that, Disney responded by removing the show indefinitely. And what's interesting is because that is the same chairman during the Biden administration who tweeted, President Biden is right. Political satire is one of the oldest and most important forms of free speech. It challenges those in power while also drawing humor to draw more people in the discussion. And that's why people are in influential positions are targeting it for censorship. Now, those are, again, like I say, important points to think about when tackling it as a whole, right? Like it got suspended, then brought back on air, but let's not forget like the contradictions in it, right? So anyways, well, that is actually all the time we have today. I'm Hugh Bear for Culture Central. Thank you for tuning in and be on the lookout for more great content.